I thought he did a great job. He's been catching a lot of flack though, you know, because people say, you know, they talking about he's in Jew face because of the nose. I'm like, well, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, you're just trying to make yourself look more like the actual person you're doing the biopic of, and it's great makeup. I was like, man, everybody with that focusing on the nose. People are always looking for something.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, but there were moments where I was like, man, he looks like a caricature drawing just because of the way that they light it and his nose looks so crazy.
Yeah.
And to me, I sent Corey a picture of it. I thought he kind of looked like the guy from Lazy Town. We are number one.
He didn't look like, you know, good guy. He didn't look like that.
That's what I was thinking watching this.
Damn, now that I look at it, I can see. Man, but thanks,
and it was funny. I was asking my mom about it, and she hadn't heard about it, and she looked it up, and she gasped when she saw it. She's like, this is kind of anti-Semitic, Julian. I was like, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far personally.
Double Toasted Live in Los Angeles is going to be Saturday, April 27th for a night of comedy games and that after party. So our first movie here is a biopic that deals with a genius. Mm-hmm. Thing is, when you a genius, you ain't gonna act right. You always gonna do something.
It comes with the territory.
It does. That's why they make so many movies about geniuses, man, because they ain't gonna act right. They around, they hiding things. You know, they treating people wrong and always talking about, well, I can't help it. I'm a genius. I don't think like your dumbass. Well, you know, I don't know if we buy that with everybody, but Bradley Cooper, he bought that with this man right here. And that's Bradley Cooper as Andy Griffith. As you can see. That's Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein, American conductor. He's also, what do you call it? A conductor? Composer. I was getting my C's mixed up. Composer. And played several instruments. And he was, you know, as some people said, just a man's a legend because he was just that talented, and some people say just ahead of his time, and really did not think like anybody else. Did music composed music for a lot of great things, man, out there. What are some of the movies that he did?
Well, the big one is West Side Story.
Yeah.
And On the Town.
Yeah. And for some reason, Bradley Cooper said, you know what? I mean, he has a point. Like, I don't think there's any movies about this particular genius right here. There's not one out there. You know what? I, being a genius myself, you know, until somebody makes my movie, I'll go ahead and make a movie about him. And hey, listen, that's what it is. It is a biopic about this legendary artist here. Has Bradley Cooper, has he done anything different right here to set himself apart from the American biopic? Let's go ahead and take a look at Maestro, the trailer for it at least. And we're talking about this because we're talking about Oscar buzz-worthy movies right now. Oscars aren't out yet or have not been announced, the nominations, but some people are saying that these are the movies that you should be looking out for. Maestro is on that list right now. Do we agree? Let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer, and we'll be back with our reviews. Even getting those Oscar monks. That music ain't nowhere in this movie.
He can be the first great American conductor.
So, with this movie right here, you know, a biopic only has a limited amount of time to cover its subject. So this kind of covers some big key moments in Leonard Bernstein's life. His big break, his first big conducting break for the Philharmonic, the New York Philharmonic, to him meeting what he thought would be the love of his life, Felicia Montealegre, to, you know, the more tumultuous part of his life where he had to come to grips with who he is, and believe me, he did not want to hide it after that, and then everybody else having to come to grips with that. And then the other part where, you know, old age kicks in and how that part of his life affected him and his family, who he had, what, 3 kids at that moment. So thing is with Bradley Cooper, I believe Bradley Cooper, man, who's, you know, who would have ever thought that the damn goofball from Wedding Crashers.
The Hangover.
The Hangover. No, Wedding Crashers. Wasn't he in Wedding Crashers?
No, that was Vince Vaughn.
No, there was a bad guy.
He might have had a small role in
yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right, from the Wedding. Okay, yeah, the bad guy.
Martin, boy, like, no, stupid. Wedding Crashers.
No, he's a raccoon. You got the wrong guy.
Oh, you mean that raccoon? Yeah.
So I guess I knew him from stuff before that, so I never think
So
about that role.
rest my case to continue the goofball from Wedding Crashers.
I forgot he was in that movie, though.
Yeah.
That's exactly the thing, man. You know, he was the
asshole. Yeah,
he was the asshole. He was a secondhand player in that movie, man. And whoever would have thought that dude would end up being considered to be one of our great directors today. And I agree with that, because I do think when you went Bradley Cooper, what he did, A Star Is Born, and then this, has he directed anything else?
Not that I know of.
With those two movies, Maestro and A Star Is Born, listen, I can tell that this guy is passionate about directing. Maybe it's because he's only done 2 films right now. And watching Maestro, I can definitely tell that he put the same amount of passion that he did within A Star Is Born.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Okay.
Tell me something, girl.
I just don't feel comfortable.
You know, him directing a huge pop star, him singing in it, him acting in it, and then directing. I mean, that was when people say, yeah, this dude is a force, and we do have to reckon with him. So I do see the same amount of passion in this, because he's kind of doing the same thing here. He's acting. And while he might not be singing, he is playing a character within different stages of his life. So, you know, that's really hard to do, but it doesn't diminish how much effort and love that he's put into this movie right here. So one thing you need to know, though, if you haven't seen it already, not as mainstream as A Star Is Born. That's the thing with this movie, Maestro. And this is the thing that I admire about Bradley Cooper. He's not just going off and just making another movie. You know, he's actually he's taking chances. He's experimenting with different filmmaking styles. You know, this one is more experimental, more artistic. You know, he's playing with visuals more here. I love the look throughout this movie. The look of it is that it changes depending on what phase of part of life that Leonard Bernstein and his family are in, or what decade that we're in. You know, early on in the film, it takes on the stylistic filmmaking of the 30s and 40s, even though sometimes it also looks like a black and white movie from the 60s. Still, they're using black and white. It's hazy, it's dreamy. The aspect ratio is smaller on purpose. Even the dialogue is in that style of in the banter of those old 30s and 40s movies where they're using the transatlantic, you know, the accent and all that kind of stuff. And also, what I love about the beginning of this movie, when you get in the black and white era here, and you're actually in the early part of his career, is that the movie also captures, I think, the innocence and the optimism in those movies.
Oh yeah.
You know. Which is appropriate because we're dealing with, you know, a very young Leonard Bernstein because all romanticized. You know, this is where he's getting his big break. And this is where, you know, he's starting to conduct the Philharmonic Orchestra for the first time with huge success. And he's about to fall in love with Felicia Montalegre. I think that's how you say her name. And, you know, it's not as restricted as those actual movies from back in the day where they were so pure and innocent because they had to be. You know, it still feels a little more edgy and mature, but there's hardly any cursing in that part. Yeah. You know, if you were watching this, you would think that this would probably be like a PG movie or something in the beginning.
I would say like PG-13, even near the start. Like,
I can see that.
Yeah, he's in bed with some people.
Yeah, and then the movie shifts to the 50s and the aspect ratio widens, transitions to color. Not as whimsical as the first part, you know, starts to feel like an actual film from the 60s sometimes, because at this point they can explore things that were considered taboo at the time, like that homosexuality. And believe me, this dude loved this man. I mean, he can't even watch the show. He's like, I'm watching the show all right. Because, you know, it's funny the situation, because this is a period where women did not have that much power, even when they were, you know, famous women.
Sure.
If you married a more powerful guy, and he wanted to be gay, you better let him be gay, because and you have to just tolerate.
Well, you know, it is a thing where it's not like he hid it from her.
She tolerated it.
Yeah, it was known right off the bat.
But she told him, she said, listen, just don't parade that shit around. He's like, all right. But when he found a young chap, he's like, oh shit, I gotta show this shit off. I got game. Look at this. Look what I got here.
You know how dudes are.
Yeah,
you make that agreement at first, but you had a party drinking, and it's like, well, I don't see my wife around here.
Exactly. Dudes are the same whether they gay or straight. If they find something that's hot, they gonna show that shit off.
Yeah.
He found that man and strutted him around the party everywhere.
I like how she had one rule, just like, just don't parade it out in front and make me look bad. He's like, oh, I got you. What was that agreement again? I don't remember.
She told him, she said, you get all the dick you want. Just don't show it to anybody. He came in dragging this dude in by the dick. He's like, yeah, look at the dick I got, y'all.
And then told her, now keep your distance, but there when I need you, okay?
Yeah.
But don't move.
He flaunted it, you know, and so, you know, watching this, Bradley Cooper, he continues to have these shifts in tones where it started out kind of whimsy, innocent, romanticized. Then, you know, we start getting into the dirt of his life, you know, the more, the flawed man part. And then, you know, we get into the 80s where, you know, the movie just kind of, you know, it shifts in tone again, where things start to feel more straightforward. You know, reality has set in, consequences of his actions at this point. You know, also the kids are older and they're aware of what dad is doing. You know? and it's just, you know, and again, it's the realities of old age kicking in with them. So it just, you know, they're not as it's not as flashy as it was before. Now it's just, you know, it's more static shots. Yeah. It's less music and scenes. It's not as, you know, the sweeping as it was before with the camera angles and whatnot. You know, man, just from again, a directing point from how he takes on so many different styles. I admire the hell out of this guy for that.
Yeah. You can't help but, especially to be his second film, to see that, like, oh, he's not just resting on his laurels.
Yeah,
he's really pushing it and going for it and making that kind of movie that holds your attention. And yeah, as any kind of person who appreciates film, you're just kind of wowed by it.
Yeah.
Whoever the person is who did the cinematography, he should continue to work with them, because that to me was the most impressive thing about the movie, where I couldn't look away because I wanted to see what was the next cool shot, what was the next little visual trick he was going to show in there. Like the one where they show his shadow against the curtain in the trailer there, you see her in the distance. That's my favorite shot in the movie. I thought that was amazing.
No, it looks like it's almost 3 different movies put in one. It's all by the same director. It's an amazing feat that he's done here just from the camera work. I'm going to pass this off to you guys right now. I'm just going to say each phase works for me mostly. I'll say not completely. A lot of things hold these tonal shifts together, though, and it's most of the performances, man. First of all, they're all great.
Yeah, they are some fantastic performances.
Carey Mulligan,
she was definitely the standout for me.
She's awesome. And I'm going to tell you how great she is in this role, because she's in one of those wife roles in the biopic. And I'm telling you something, when you the wife in a biopic, and the subject is a dude, you ain't got shit to do but be mad and still support him. You in his shadow the whole time.
Yeah, cheerleader role is what they call it.
You mad at like he shouldn't be doing this, but I guess I'll go ahead and support him anyway. You know, the whole movie, the women start out cool and they just get bitter. And by the time the movie's over, they looking like that shit. Ain't this a mother?
Well, it's almost as if, you know, the audience is going like, well, you should be mad at what he did, but he's a genius, so you shouldn't be getting in his way. Let the player play. Let him do what he's got to do.
That's what the movie say. It's like he's a genius, so, you know, get his back, even though they getting dogged out.
Yeah.
And that's what she is, man. But, I mean, she... You know, her role gets reduced to being overshadowed, less a character than just being frustrated and looking mad, which happens with a lot of these. But I'm going to tell you, they do something with her in the movie that actually has her come around and gives her moment. And it's funny, too, because it's almost like the movie knows it. And they're just like, well, shit, I don't know what we can do about this. I'll tell you what we can do. And what they do is they say, well, listen, we know we're wrong, so we're just going to have you hear it from her. She admits it in the movie. She's like, oh, I don't do nothing but support this man. I get shit on all the time.
Seems I'm attracted to a certain type.
He's lost.
I've always known who he is.
What?
He called me.
She's like, well, shit, that's on you. I'm wasting my time for it.
I know. All this time I've been verbally trying to dance around it.
You let me sit up here and say all that shit you knew. You know I'm out this bitch. Maya Hawke, she's very good. She's Ethan Hawke's and what's her name? Uma Thurman's daughter. She deals with a lot with this family, but what I like about her character is that she's never bitter, man. She actually kind of takes it in stride. Like, I know my family is crazy.
And she's not in the movie that much. She only has like a couple scenes.
Yeah, a couple scenes. Yeah,
but whatever she's in, she's actually really good, man. I mean, you know, when people say nepotism, I'm like, well, shit. Sometimes they just got it, man. You know.
The only performance that really felt forced to me was, you showed her there, Sarah Silverman. It was just
really,
it wasn't working for me.
Oh, you know what? She normally doesn't work for me in other things, and I liked her in this one.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, let me see here. You know, so Bradley Cooper. Let me just say that I like Bradley Cooper in this movie, because some people are thinking, some people don't think that that he's doing an impression, especially early on, and you know, talking that transatlantic accent and everything. That's a little too heavy and it's a little too phony. And I thought that was by design. I thought that he was making a movie that was supposed to mimic those films back then.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so that's why he was talking that way. And actually it worked for me. I thought he was good. I thought he was great in the film. You know, and one of the reasons I thought he was really good is because of the way he aged in the movie. You know, he played a different person the older he got. So, you know, I thought he did a great job. He's been catching a lot of flack though, you know, because people say, you know, they talking about he's in Jew face because of the nose. I'm like, well, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, you're just trying to make yourself look more like the actual person you're doing the biopic of, and it's great makeup. I was like, man, everybody with that focusing on the nose. People are always looking for something.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, but there were moments where I was like, man, he looks like a caricature drawing, just because of the way that they light it and his nose looks so crazy.
Yeah.
And to me, I sent Corey a picture of it. I thought he kind of looked like the guy from Lazy Town. We are number one.
He didn't look like, you know, good guy. He didn't look like that.
That's what I was thinking watching this.
Damn, now that I look at it,
See?
Man, but thanks,
and it was funny. I was asking my mom about it, and she hadn't heard about it, and she looked it up, and she gasped when she saw it. She's like, this is kind of anti-Semitic, Julian. I was like, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far personally.
All right.
But I thought that he looked a little bit goofy. And to what you were saying with the script, having that old style, like that worked for his performance, because he is there kind of talking like this, and then they're always talking about things, yipping and yapping.
Yeah, and then as he went on, he became more almost gravelly and effeminate. So he was playing different characters almost, as probably Leonard Bernstein did. But as far as listen, y'all know I got Jewish people's back, man, on any kind of anti-Semitism.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you know this. Now you know this, but if anybody's calling that shit on this, now come on, let's stop. That's when somebody like puts just a smudge of black on their face and they're talking about, oh shit, that's blackface. You know, no, it ain't.
Well, I feel that way, but Julian being actually Jewish, I defer to how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think that it's perfectly fine. I can see how people would see that, but I don't find it offensive at all. Not the slightest.
Shit,
I think it looks a little silly.
I'm sorry, if you were the authority, I'd be like, man, arrest me then, take me to Jew jail, because I don't see it. I'm going to defend this. Any Jewish people out there saying that they're offended, I'm sorry, I don't think you should be, because that was not the intent.
Yeah, that seems to be clearly not the intent.
And I'm sorry. It's all about intentions and it's all about how it looks. Now if this shit look like a damn bird beak or something, I'd be like, okay, but I'm sorry.
Like, come on.
Yeah, there are some movies, even some that came out this year, where they actually are looking anti-Semitic with like giant noses and stuff.
And furthermore, I think the makeup looks amazing, because by the time he was very old in the movie, which you saw at the beginning of the trailer, by the time that he's actually in the late stage of his life, I didn't think that looked rubbery at all. I thought that was amazing makeup.
It's got so much texture and moisture to it.
And the back of his hands too.
Yeah.
Now I might just sit back and let y'all go at it, because he's been sitting up here, boy. He said, "Man, I can't wait for Martin to get up in here. I want to tell him a thing or two."
That is not what I said. I was just watching this movie. I was thinking about it halfway through, where you mentioned that you watched it twice.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm enjoying looking at it, but as far as a story goes and the storytelling for me,
see, that's what you get for assuming from what I said. So, here's what I will tell you. This is what I will say about this movie. everything I've said up until this point, I hold by. Oscar-worthy performances, Oscar-worthy direction, production, all of it. Gorgeous. I think it's missing what makes Leonard Bernstein special. I don't think it brings that home. I feel like if you're already a fan, this is the movie for you. But if you're coming in kind of cold, kind of knowing who he is, and you like West Side Story, but you're not already a big fan who knows stuff about him, it leaves kind of a big, okay, I guess, but so what? And I would compare this to, and they're completely different movies, but recently watching The Iron Claw about the Von Erichs.
Funny, I was going to bring that up too. But
were you? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's about wrestlers. I kind of knew who the Von Erichs were. I'm not that into wrestling, but that movie really brings you into the world of wrestling, and you get a sense of why this movie is being made about these guys. And I didn't get that from the Leonard from Maestro. And here's the thing: my saying I watched it twice. I watched it twice because I went to the screening and saw it. I kept falling asleep in it. so when they sent me a copy of it, I thought, you know what? Let's be fair. Let's watch it again. Mm-hmm. And watching it again, I was like, all right, I like this better, but my feelings haven't changed that much.
All right, so
I mean, I'm kind of in agreement. Like, I think that it's a gorgeous movie, but I think that it fails in the way of just storytelling. Mm-hmm. Because what they do is there's so many times where the movie stops and they're like, man, he did this, he did that, he got all these awards, and then it's just like, all right, I don't see him doing that. Yeah. Like, the characters talk about these characters, but you never see them being a character.
Yes.
It's funny, I was going to bring up the Iron Claw, because I kind of have the same complaints that I have about this movie as I did with the Iron Claw, where the Iron Claw, I think it told, took its time telling a really good setup for this family and their stories and their bonding and even their curse that they have. And then it started to kind of speed up and just have the movie in chunks near the end. I kind of feel this, and what I feel is that, by the way, I really like the Iron Claw. It's on my list of best movies this year. So don't think I'm sitting up here talking about the movie's not any good. I don't like it. I do. I like it a lot. But I did say at the end of it, I wish this would have been a TV show, because I don't think the second half or whatever part of the movie that felt rushed to me they wouldn't have done that. They would have had more time to take those segments and expand on them. I kind of feel that way about this, because I think when the movie starts out, I'm not even looking for a real story about Leonard Bernstein. I'm looking at this as sort of a romanticized story of Leonard Bernstein. You know, the first part felt, it didn't feel like a biopic because of his creative approach. It felt like a story being told, a very romantic story. A man falling in love, a man who was passionate in love with his work. It felt very fluid to me. And I didn't care if it was exaggerating or telling the truth or not. I didn't look at it for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that when we get to the second part, and the kind of moment they hit color, that's when it loses fluidity to me. And it feels like a movie's, again, being told in chunks. It feels more like a traditional biopic. I wouldn't even care if I saw the second half of the movie. It would have been kind of cool for me to see this whole thing about how he got his first chance at the Philharmonic, And that way we could have cut off instead of trying to go, all right, and then here's the part where he likes man. Oh, here's the part he got to talk to his kids,
This is the dick sucking scene.
Yeah, here's the part where his wife is pissed off now, oh, his girl knows. And none of that, like I said, none of this is really terrible. It's just, like I said, it just didn't have the flow.
Part. Like that. Like I said, that's why the first time I had trouble getting through it. But I was in a theater. I didn't have the luxury of going let me pause this and come back later. Yeah. Instead, my brain was just let's check out for a bit.
Yeah, I'm listen. But everything else is so good in this. I agree with y'all about the story here. I do.
I would just say that a lot of the most interesting stuff that they talk about in this, it's all off screen.
Yeah.
Even early on, when they show that first time he's conducting, it starts awesome and then it just ends. And it cuts to the end of it, and it's man, that would have been so cool to actually see that whole scene, to just draw that out and really introduce us to this character. But then they just jump to the end and everyone's like, man, wasn't that great? And it's I don't know. I didn't see it.
Yeah. I say it preaches to people who are already big fans and go oh, this is his big moment here. And I assume Bradley Cooper is one of those people.
I would have been, I'm just talking about, again, my movie. I really wish I could have seen a whole movie and not 2 hours and 30 minutes already. I wish I could have seen like an hour and 45-minute movie or so about this black and white early part of his life where it felt like an old film. I would have thought that. But then again, I got to admire how he went and took on the other parts of the movie and changed the tones with that. I really like those parts, even though I don't think they worked as well as the beginning. But I did like them, man. And maybe that's because, again, I think everything is good in here because it's driven by Bradley Cooper's ambition. I really do give him credit for being ambitious and putting the effort. And almost just on the ambition and the filmmaking alone, I'm giving this a low full price. Wish I could have liked this more. And I don't even know if I would give this Best Picture. I definitely would give it Best Director, or nominated for Best Director.
Yeah.
I'd give it cinematography for sure.
Yeah, cinematography, Best Director, makeup, I would that. And Bradley Cooper's, as far as I'm concerned, he is, just based on 2 films, he is one of the best working out there right now. Now, we can keep it up after 2 films, I don't know, but I really hope he keeps, being this experimental and this ambitious, because I do think, even when you don't get a complete great story out of it, there's a lot of good other things in there, man. And it's earnest too, it's guys being real. So, low full price.
Yeah, I'm hoping he gets tons of accolades. So even if it doesn't win, gets the nominations or wins Oscars, that he's still hungry enough to want to keep trying and pushing to do more.
Yeah.
Because he's shown himself, within these 2 films to be not just a great director, but a hungry director, one who wants to keep, getting better and doing more things. And I so much of this I compare to Spielberg. There's so many great, not just good, but great things about it that I wish the overall project left me feeling excited. And like I said, I took 2 stabs at it to get there and never quite made it for me. So it ends up being more of a very, very high matinee for me.
All right.
Yeah, for me, I think that there's a lot, if you love old film, you'll really get a kick out of this. It has a lot to like, but for me, the tone was a complete miss. I think the cinematography is just stunning.
Yeah.
It is one of the prettiest looking movies I've ever seen, but I want to see the movie that, they talk about, not what they had here. And there's just some stuff in it, man, I just thought it was corny. And again, going back to the tone, some stuff, it's is this a joke? Like random, the scenes all go on very long. And I thought that the editing was a little bit weak in this, at least for me personally. Overall, I think I just have to give this a low rental. I think that there is a lot to like here, but I don't know, I was disappointed when it's all said and done, because it's man, I feel unmoved by all this. It didn't emotionally affect me at all.
Wow. Okay.
Julian. Silly boy.
Man, you got opinions across the board here.
I know. Damn.
I respect, Julian.
Yeah.
There's weird stuff in this. Remember at one point he's like, "Hey, bring me some milk." And they bring him a full carton of milk and he's drinking from it, and no one's like, "Why are you doing that?" Why was he drinking milk? Or the time where he says to Sarah Silverman, he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go take a big dump." It's what?
Man, you hate this man just for drinking milk, man. Damn.
Well, you drink that milk, you gotta take a big dump.
Yeah, man.
See one float into the next.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I guess I missed the point.
He wanted to see him taking this shit. He wanted to have to sit up there with the glass of milk talking about, "This for you, Julian."
I think Bradley Cooper is extremely talented, but better luck next time.
Let this man drink his milk, Julian. Come on.
Bones weren't strong enough for me. And the way that they used that "It's the End of the World" song, I was like,
"Oh, I will give you that."
Yeah,
I'll give you that. I didn't like that part.
They just snuck that in. Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, I know. I know.
Man, can't drink milk. You look like a puppet, man. Come on. God damn.